Jita swasendriyatmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam nakutaschit parabhava tesham supakva yoganam jita swasendriyatmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam nakutaschit parabhava tesham supakva yoganam jita swasendriyatmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam nakutaschit parabhavaha. Everyone can chant, please.
Tesham supakva yoganam jitasvasendriyatmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam nakutaschit parabhava.
Someone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tesham supakva yoganam jit swasendriyatmanam labdayushmat prasadanam na kutaschita parabhava. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Tesam supakava yoganam jita sa indriya atmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam na kutaschit prabhavaha. Hare Krishna.
Tesham supakvayoganam jita swasendriyatmanam labdha yusmat prasadanam nakutaschit parabhava.
Anyone else? Okay, word for word translation. Tesham, of them, supakva yoganam, who are mature mystics. Jita, controlled. Shwasa, breath. Indriya, the senses. Atmanam, the mind. Labdha, attained. Yushmat, your. Prasadanam, mercy. Na, not. Kutaschit, anywhere. Parabhava, defeat. Translation. There is no defeat in this material world for persons who control the mind and senses by controlling the breathing process and who are therefore experienced, mature mystics. This is because by such perfection in yoga, they have attained your mercy. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The purpose of yogic performances is explained here. It is said that an experienced mystic attains full control of the senses and the mind by controlling the breathing process. Therefore, controlling the breathing process is not the ultimate aim of yoga. The real purpose of yogic performance is to control the mind and the senses. Anyone who has such control is to be understood to be an experienced, mature mystic yogi. It is indicated herein that a yogi who has control over the mind and senses has the actual benediction of the Lord, and he has no fear. In other words, one cannot attain the mercy and benediction of the Supreme Lord until one is able to control the mind and senses. This is actually possible when one fully engages in Krishna consciousness. A person whose senses and mind are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord has no possibility of engaging in material activities. The devotees of the Lord are not defeated anywhere in the universe. It is stated, Narayana Parak Sarve. One who is Narayana Para, or a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not afraid anywhere, whether he is sent to hell or promoted to heaven. From Bhagavatam 6:17-28. Tesham supakva yoganam jita swasenjiyatmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam nakutaschit parabhavaha. There is no defeat in this material world for persons who control the mind and senses by controlling the breathing process and who are therefore experienced, mature mystics. This is because by such perfection in yoga, they have attained your mercy. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So this is a very interesting verse. I don't know about others, but one word that actually there's a few important words and phrases in this, but the first one was the word parabhava that jumped out at me. This means defeat. And Prabhupada would talk about this several times, this word parabhava, defeat, that this is the actual normal condition of this material world. And this verse recognizes that, but also says there's a way to escape that even while within this material world. And this parabhava, usually Prabhupada would quote that use this word in the context of describing this pavarga and apavarga. We've probably all heard this before. I always like this pavarga analysis because it's a great point, and it's also such a clever bit of Sanskrit wordplay that I also enjoy it for that. Varga in the Sanskrit, probably everyone here is somewhat familiar with this, how the Sanskrit alphabet is divided into groups of letters according to whether the letters are formed mainly with the lips or with the teeth or with the palate or in the throat. And each of those groups of letters are called vargas. And varga just means like a category. And the categories are named by the first letter in each category. So there's pavarga, tavarga, chavarga, all these different groups of letters. So pavarga means bondage in this material world. And it also means this group of 5 letters, the pavarga, pa, ba, and ma. And each of those letters stands for a different item of materialistic life. And the first one, pa, is parabhava, defeat. Because this is the nature of this material world, defeat. The opposite of defeat is victory. There's no victory in this world. Even if there's a temporary victory, that victory will collapse. You're victorious in collecting $100,000, $100, $1,000, $1 million, $1 billion, but then either through taxes or cheating or being a spendthrift or ultimately by death, defeated. Or you get a beautiful mate and then there's divorce, or the beautiful mate gets old and is no longer beautiful. And again, ultimately death takes away. So everything ends in defeat. This is pa, the first of the pavarga. Next is pa, the aspirated p, which is pena, stands for pena, which means foam. And the comparison of foam is like when a horse is working very hard and it starts foaming at the mouth. This is the hard labor of this material world. Everyone has to work so hard just to make ends meet. There's that saying that in this age, just to maintain a small family is as hard work as maintaining a kingdom. So hard work in this material world. Pa, pa, ba. Ba is, let's see. Ba is banda or bondage, the bondage of this material world, that we're encaged within this body and encaged within the laws of material nature and the cage of our karmic reactions. We're in this bondage, and our natural freedom. Prabhupada says everyone wants the freedom, the free light of this liberation. But in this material world, bondage, banda, is there. And next is ba, the aspirated B, biti or baya, which means fear. And because as I've described, because you're going to lose everything, because you have to work so hard, because you're not free, everything is fear. Just like Prabhupada would also talk about the four animal principles, ahara, nidra, baya, maituram cha. And he would often state that of those four, baya or fear is predominant in this material world. Fear, oh, will I lose this? I'm afraid I won't get this. I'm afraid I'll lose this thing I have. I'm afraid I'll be defeated. I'm afraid I have to work very hard. I'm retired now, but I remember when I had to work and every morning was like terrifying. Oh my God, get out of bed and go to work. It was like the most frightening and oppressive and thing. I really had to steel myself just to go to work every day. So baya, fear. Parabhava, defeat. Pena, the hard work of this material life. Bondage, fear, and finally, ba, ba, ma. Ma is mrityu, or death, or mritim, death. And this is the end of it all. And death is why the defeat is there. Death is why the hard work is there, why the fear is there, why the bondage is there by death. So this is very clever wordplay. Prabhupada would quote it pretty regularly. I don't know if it originally comes from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but Srila Rupa Goswami also quotes it there, that bandam cha bitim cha mritim cha kritva pavarga datapi shikanda mole tvam shastrabanam apavarga dosi. And the first line on this, parabhavam paini la vaktratam cha. So he describes that this pavarga is there for everyone. But again, just like this verse says, for those who attain the mercy of the Lord, and Srila Rupa Goswami was also explaining that even the demons who attain the mercy of the Lord and are killed by him, although they're trapped in this pavarga, they get apavarga. And that's the clever wordplay also, that pavarga means these five principles of conditioned material life. And apavarga means liberation, and apavarga means the opposite of pavarga. So it's very clever and very beautiful and very instructive. And here, this verse is also explaining how we could become free from these principles of material bondage by taking to this path of liberation. Let me just go back to the verse here. Yes, the Supakva yogi, the very mature yogi, can attain this. And it mentions controlling the breath, controlling the mind, and finally getting the mercy of the Lord. So then one can attain liberation. This is the path of apavarga vartmani, the path of apavarga, which we should be seeking. This is also described, satam prasangam amavirya samvido, bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata, tajoshanat ashwapavarga vartmani, this path of apavarga, beyond the defeat, the death, the fear, the hard work. Shraddha Ritir Bhaktir Anukramishiti. That satam prasangam mama virya samvido. That associating with devotees and hearing the glory in the association of devotees, hearing the glorious pastimes of the heroic pastimes, the courageous, wonderful pastimes of Krishna. Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Kata. This is the nectar, the medicine, the nectar, the enrichment, the life-giving force. Rasayana means giving rasa or giving life. And rasayana, like in Ayurveda, rasayana also means like a medicine, a rejuvenating medicine. So Bhavanti Rit Karna, it's so pleasing and so enlivening to Rit Karna, to the heart and to the ears, hearing these wonderful things. Tajoshanad Ashwapavarga Vartmani. Very quickly, someone who does this, they progress on Apavarga Vartmani, the path of liberation. And what's the progression of that path? Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anukramishiti. Shraddha, first one develops faith. Rati, then one develops feeling, attachment to devotional service and to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then actual bhakti, pure bhakti, will manifest. Anukramishiti, step by step, in sequence, progressively like that, and very quickly one can advance. So is this the result for yogis? Because this is verses describing that they're controlling the breath, they're controlling the mind, thus they get the mercy of the Lord. So is this the result for that yogis get? And the answer is yes and no. I think I mentioned 2 or 3 classes back, the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that there's actually 3 types of yogis, 3 types of meditators. The first are those who meditate on prana and mana, meditating just by drilling the breath or controlling the breath, and just by controlling or witnessing the mind. And in different impersonal meditations, and even not even impersonal, just completely mundane, they say, oh, do meditation to reduce your blood pressure. And what do they say? Oh, you just watch your breath, or you just or the Zen Buddhists are fond of this, just watch your mind. So this is the lowest level of meditation. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this level is actually rejected by the Vedas because it's completely mundane. The next level is the yogis who are actually meditating in their heart upon, some of them upon Paramatma, or upon, it also includes those who are meditating on the Virat Rupa. This is the next level of yogis, and that at least is accepted by the Vedas. And the third type of yogi is the bhakta, who always sees Krishna and worships Krishna and associates with Krishna within his heart. Premanjana charita bhakti velochanena santak sadaiva hridayeshu velokayanti. He sees within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is ultimately the type of yogi that is being described here. And the particular word, which I like very much, is the supakva yogi. Supakva means, Prabhupada translates as mature. It also means, supakva also means that something is fully cooked, like when you're cooking some food, that it's not raw, it's fully cooked. Or a fruit on a tree is supakva, means it's fully ripened. It's not green and bitter or astringent. Now it's ripe. It's sweet and delicious, like the Srimad Bhagavatam is described as the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic knowledge, the ripened fruit. So the ripened yogi, the fully mature yogi, he's the one who can attain this goal. And those who are not yet ripe, those who are not yet mature, maybe they can't attain quite the same thing. Prabhupada, just like in describing in the yoga ladder, and he explained that the whole yoga ladder, the process is bhakti. But if someone gets caught up on a particular rung, Like there's different rungs of the yoga ladder, karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga. And at the top, the goal of that ladder is bhakti. But if someone gets caught up on a particular rung, then we say, oh, this is a karma yogi, a jnana yogi, a dhyana yogi. So that person who is caught up on a particular rung, he is not pakva, he is not supakva, he's not mature, he's not ripe yet. And all of the different processes are like this: karma, jnana, yoga, all of them were there. And we know that the purpose of all of them is bhakti. But again, if someone gets caught up on a particular one, then they're not attaining that goal. They're immature, they're unripe, and they need to be ripened. They need to become matured to come to the point of actual bhakti, just like Vishwanath Chakravarti described it of the different meditative processes. Loving Krishna and seeing Krishna within the heart is the topmost. Just like the karmis, this is the lowest level. Actually, the lowest level is the vikarmi. And this is not a yogic process at all. That just means ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanyame tad pashupir naranam. That person who is just like an animal and no care for sinful or pious or good or bad or cruel or kind. Just if it gratifies my senses, then I'll do it. If it smells good, if it tastes good, I'll eat it. If it feels good, I'll do it. And to hell with anything else. This is vikarma, vikarmi. And that person, he also reaps a fruit from that. And the fruit from that is different kinds of sinful reactions that keep him grossly suffering within the material world. But a little more advanced is the karmi, the sukarmi, the person who does good karma and wants to elevate himself. And he does charity, he does sacrifices, he's good to people, he does good works. And because of that, he gets good results. But this is also unripe. What is the ripe? When the karma, the process of karma becomes ripe, what is that ripeness? What is that ripe stage of being a karmi? Yagyartat karmanonyacha lokoyam karma bandhana tarartam karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. Same thing again we've been hearing. Yagyartat karmanonyacha, that when the work becomes yagya arta, yagya means sacrifice, and yagya is also a name for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And especially lately, we've been hearing about Varaha incarnation. Somehow Lord Varaha is also named Yagya and is particularly associated with this process of yoga. So Yagyartat karmanonyatra, you give up all other work and you make your only work offering sacrifice to Vishnu. Lokoyam karma bandhana. And if you don't do that, that means you're the unripe karmi, and that means you remain in bondage. Bandhana, just like in the Pavarga, we heard about bandha. Lokoyam karma bandhana. If you don't make your work sacrifice to Vishnu, devotional service to Vishnu, if you don't do that, then your work is bondage, bandhana, karma bandhana. Tad artam karma konteya, make your karma tad artam, for the sake of Krishna. You don't do it for yourself, you do it for Krishna. O Konteya, son of Kuti, mukta sangha samachara. Mukta sangha samachara, then your mukta sangha, which is the same as apavarga vartmani, that you're on the path of liberation, mukta sangha, liberation from this material world. Or again, also in Bhagavad Gita, yat karosi. Karosi means whatever you do. Same root as karma. Karosi, karma. Same word, same idea. Yat karosi yadasnasi, yad jahosi dadasiyat. You do some work. You eat some food. You offer something. You give something away. You do something for others. Yat tapasyasi konteya. You perform some austerities. Tat karushva madarpanam. You do that for the sake of Krishna. This is the perfection of karma. This is the supakva karmi. All of these processes culminate in bhakti, when it's completely mature. So, yes, yat karosi, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer and give away, whatever your austerities you perform, this is an offering to Krishna. And this is, again, all of these processes, ultimately, they are bhakti, or they're supposed to be bhakti. In the highest sense, there's no difference between karma, jnana, and bhakti. But when one gets stuck on a lower level, when one is immature or unripe, then they remain in bondage. And the yogi, what about the process of yoga? That's the famous verse, of course, also from Bhagavad Gita. Yogi nam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam samayukta tamomata. Yoginam api sarvesham, of all yogis, sarvesham, of all of them, of all yogis, what's the very best one? Madgaten antaratmana, one who always thinks of Krishna and keeps Krishna within himself. Antaratmana means within his heart. Just like, again, Vishwanath said that the best yogi always worships Krishna within his heart. So that's what Krishna is saying here. Same thing, the best yogi of all is the one who keeps Krishna in his heart. And to make it even more explicitly devotional, Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam. Shraddhavan, with full faith, and bhajate, worship. That makes it inescapable that Krishna is actually talking about bhakti here. So the best yogi is the bhakta, because he's always keeping Krishna within his heart and seeing Krishna, and he has faith in Krishna and bhajate, worshiping Krishna. And bhajate, if I'm remembering correctly from the purport to that verse, Prabhupada says that bhajate comes from the root bhaj, which means to worship. And Prabhupada says, actually, this root word bhaj, or worship, only properly applies to Krishna. It can't be applied to demigods or other great persons. It means Krishna. Samayukta tamo mata. This is Krishna's opinion. My opinion, my thinking is that this is the best yogi, and Krishna's the judge of who's the best yogi. Who else is going to judge the different gradations of yogis but Krishna? And if one is not supakva yogi, if one is not a mature yogi, then he thinks, oh, the breath or the mind, or let me get some yogic cities, or let me go to the heavenly planets, or let me merge into impersonal blah, blah, blah nonsense. This is not the mature yogi. This is the immature yogi. And the immature yogi, just like the immature impersonalists, patantyito najati yusmarangraya, because they're not engaging directly in devotional service, because they don't have the regard for Krishna's lotus feet, they fall down from their position of imagined superiority. Just like Haridas Thakur. Who was a bigger yogi, Haridas Thakur or Vishwamitra? Vishwamitra is such a big, powerful, respected, amazing personality, but he fell down hearing the tinkling bells, ankle bells of the heavenly damsels, but not Haridas Thakur. So who's the better yogi? Durvasa Muni, who lost he, like the verse says, controlling the breath, controlling the mind. But Durvasa Muni could not control his mind, and he lost his mind under the sway of anger and had to fall down and be punished by the Sudarshan chakra of Krishna. So who's a bigger yogi? Who's a better yogi? Haridas Thakur or Durvasa Muni? Such a big, powerful Muni, but again, surpassed by devotional service. So this is the Supakva yogi. The ripe yogi, the mature yogi is the devotee. And just like Prabhupada explains in the purport, in today's purport, I'll read that little section again. It is indicated herein that a yogi who has control over the mind and the senses has the actual benediction of the Lord, and he has no fear. In other words, one cannot attain the mercy and benediction of the Supreme Lord until one is able to control the mind and senses. This is actually possible when one fully engages in Krishna consciousness. A person whose senses and mind are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord has no possibility of engaging in material activities. So this is interesting. He says that to attain Krishna, you have to control the mind and the senses. But then he goes on to say that to control the mind and the senses, this is done when one engages in Krishna consciousness. So it's not that this is some, chicken and egg dilemma. Well, which comes first? Do I worship Krishna first, or do I control my mind and senses first? And the answer to that, it's not either or. The answer to that is sadhana bhakti. That, just like Prabhupada said, the boiling down to its most raw, basic essence. Sadhana bhakti, as Srila Prabhupada said, 4 no's and 1 yes. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, and 1 yes, chant Hare Krishna. So this is how these are integrated. And when you do that, in the beginning, if your senses and mind are not controlled, you have to endeavor by force of willpower, just like Bhakti Siddhanta said, in the morning, you beat your mind with a shoe 100 times, and at night you beat it with a broom 100 times or 1,000 times, whichever it was. So we have to engage in some force, some practice, you could say like a materialistic yogi who's by force of will controlling his mind and senses. But we do this for the service of Krishna, and it's accompanied by that one thing, chant Hare Krishna. And chant Hare Krishna, this is Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karye Udoy. That Shravana means Shravanadi, beginning with hearing and chanting. That all of the processes of devotional service are encompassed within that. So we engage in devotional service. And when we have to, we force ourselves, no, I'm not going to, for those who are attracted to these different things, no, I'm not going to eat meat. I'm not going to engage in illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, even if there's a desire within my mind to do these things. By force, we do it. But ultimately, in the long run, in the eternal run, you can't do it just by force of will, not even just by taking a vow. Taking a vow, we have to do and we must do. But the idea is that by positive engagement in devotional service, then we actually become a ripe renouncer. And the ripe renouncer doesn't renounce by force or merely by force, but he renounces through param drishtra nivartate, by attaining the higher taste, which is what Srila Prabhupada is referencing in this purport. A person who's, where is it? In other words, one cannot attain the mercy and benediction of the Supreme Lord until one is able to control the mind and senses. This is actually possible when one fully engages in Krishna consciousness. So the devotee is the best sense controller, the best yogi, the best karmi. What's the other? Oh yeah, the gyanis, the mental speculators. What is Bhagavad Gita? What does Krishna explain in Bhagavad Gita? Bahunam janmanamante jnanavamam prapadyante vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma sadurlabha. That you're a jnani, if you want to consider yourself a jnani, bahunam janmanamante, it'll take many, many lives of doing this. What does that many, many lives mean? It means that's the time that the jnani needs to become supakva, to become mature, to ripen into this position from being a mere jnani or meditator or mental speculator or philosopher. That takes many, many millions, gazillions of lives. And what's the conclusion after that? Then the person becomes actually supakva jnani, a ripe, a mature jnani. And then he understands Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Krishna is everything. Krishna is everything. And the person who considers Krishna everything is actually not a mere jnani, that's a devotee. That for the devotee, Krishna is everything. Krishna is his personal everything. So all of these culminate like this, that these processes have to culminate in devotional service. Now, let's say there's a person who is practicing karma, practicing jnana, practicing yoga, and offers this, well, when I become mature, I'll take to bhakti. Maybe in Satya Yuga or in some previous age, someone could offer that argument, I suppose, even though I'm not actually even willing to give that much credit. But let's give them that concession. But nowadays, coming to the topmost process of devotional service is so easy, so simple, and so available. You don't have to go through Bahunam Janmanam Ante. You don't have to go through many, many lives. You right now, today, you chant Hare Krishna. You offer something to Krishna. You yad karosi yadasnasi, whatever you do, whatever you eat, everything you give to Krishna. Or your mind, man mana bhava mad bhakto. You engage your mind in Krishna. It's so easy that there is no longer a valid excuse for this gradual, long, many lifetimes, many cycles process of gradually becoming supakva. By the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, one can become supakva immediately, right now. All you have to do, that's the definition of pure devotional service, right? Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavirtam. You don't have to gradually go through all those things right now. Even if you're not pure of mind, even if you're not pure of heart, you stop engaging in the process of material karma, doing some activity and thinking, oh, I'll get some material benefit from this. You give up that idea. Even if you're not pure at heart, you give up that idea. You give up the idea, oh, I'll speculate, I'll meditate, instead of just worshiping Krishna. You give up that idea. You give up the karma, the jnana, anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavirtam. You give up all of those paths. And then if you do that, and at the same time, just like Prabhupada explained, there's the four no's and the one yes. So that every good definition has a negative aspect and a positive aspect. That first, if you want to describe something accurately, first you describe what it is not, and then you describe what it is. So the negative side is anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavirtam. You give up all other processes. And what's the positive that you accept? Anukulena Krishnanushilanam. You worship Krishna in the parampara system with the motivation of pleasing Krishna, Anushilanam, not the motivation of pleasing yourself, like the karmis, not for the motivation of mystic powers or impersonal liberation or whatever, like the karmis and jnanis, but for the purpose of pleasing Krishna. Then you're pure devotee. Shilanam bhaktir uttamam. This is topmost bhakti, even in the stage of sadhana. It doesn't mean you're freed of, you may still be riddled with material desires. But if your motivation in devotional service is pure, that you're not searching for fruitive results, you're not motivated by liberation, all these things, then that's pure devotional service. Then you're supakva yogi. Therefore, that's why the devotee is the topmost yogi, yogi nama api sarvesham, the topmost karmi, the topmost jnani. And this is the person who labha yushmat prasadanam, this person who desires and attains prasadanam, the mercy of Krishna. This is how one does it, not by mere breath control. Anyone can, hold your breath. Like, there's people who do this competitively in diving, or pearl divers. They hold their breath a very long time, or yogis holding your breath. No, but by controlling the mind and controlling the senses as a tool for engaging in Krishna consciousness. Then you attain the mercy of Krishna. And then, na kutaschit parabhava. Even though defeat is the nature of this material world, such a person can no longer be defeated. Because Krishna can never be defeated. But even he's defeated by this person who takes this process of devotional service. So it's the nature of this material world, but we're protected from that. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, death came for him. The process is parabhava, right? The defeat and hard work and fear and bondage, and then finally death. And when Dhruva Maharaj, when death came for him, he stepped on the head of death and stepped onto the Vaikuntha airplane, which brought him back to Godhead. So this is the process of devotional service. Because of the context of what Maitreya and Vidura are talking about, they're framing it in the context of the yogi, but the mature yogi means the devotee, and we understand that. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. If there's any questions, comments, or discussion, we can do that now. Yes, Sita Prabhu, was your hand up, or?
It was by mistake, sorry.
Oh, okay. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for your very kind attendance. I hope everyone's doing well up in Philly. Please accept my obeisances. Vanchakalpatru Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namah. Hare Krishna. Everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your nice class.